And they go back to the middle of the park. Now look for an opening. Miskela had one shot that dropped short earlier on, and this one has gone away to the left. They are looking like a side really lacking in confidence.
Lacking in confidence, rudderless, being rushed into errors all the time. Down by contrast are way sharper than Cork. This surprises me hugely, because I thought maybe they stuttered into the final, you could say Cork did, but I'd expected today that they would have got rid of a lot of the errors that there had been there beforehand and come up with a big performance today. So far it's missing.
Scoring chances so far, you can see Down creating 3 more than Cork. And they've got a free kick from their own 65-metre line. Slipping it out here to Danny Hughes. Now what can he do? 2 Cork men out there to challenge, to try and take it from him. The Cork team beaten in the All-Ireland final by Kerry in 2007, beaten again in 2009. That's a lovely pass back to Hughes. Scoring chance here, might even be a goal chance. Oh, it's up and it's over the bar. Danny Hughes. Well, he seems to be summing up his options there as he was coming forward into the angle, and the Down fans happy enough that he took the point eventually. Fisted it over just for a moment. I think they probably thought it was going to drop short and into the net, and it wouldn't have counted. It
was so simple though, a lovely bit of slick movement by a nippy player who's been outstanding all year, thinking quicker than Cork are at the moment. Downer got the opportunity and took it. Probably took the percentages. He had Clark open for a goal possibility, but did the right thing and put it over.
Well, the physios are out attending to Paddy Kassan here, who's been one of the most consistent players in the championship this season for Cork, attended there by Colin Lane and Michael O'Leary, the assistant physio. Well, they're still sitting there in the stand. I often wonder, I know you've expressed your view that it's a good idea to sit up in the stand and take an overview, but they are now 27 minutes into the game. I like to see managers down on the side of the field, I have to say, urging, cajoling, maybe criticising. There's a presence there at least.
Well, there's a presence, but I would still agree with what Conor Coonahan is doing by, getting this overview of the game from a more elevated position. But just going back to the Down situation at the moment, okay, maybe they're buoyed up by their legacy of never been beaten in an All-Ireland final, but there's no doubt about it, they're way less fearful today than Cork are. Cork are hamstrung at the moment with fear right throughout their team.
Alan Quirk kicking it, and there was some pushing this time by a Down defender, and it's Caleb King. So the free kick taken. King bends his back, couldn't take it the first time, needs a little support. Oop, they fumbled it there, but they were lucky enough to get it back, and Benny Coulter feeds it in. Marty Clark pushed from behind by Noel O'Leary. And Noel O'Leary is certainly having his hands full in this matchup with Marty Clark. As you said earlier, Martin, it wasn't the matchup we were anticipating. Here's John Clark, 5 years older than his brother, back towards McComiskey. John Clark, having scored earlier on, having felt confident, lets it in. Alan Quirk does well, gets his fist to it, it goes behind, and it's the game's first 45. Well, he had to come out that time, and you can see by the body language there, Alan Quirk isn't one bit pleased with himself. The 33-year-old came out here, was left isolated, had to concede the 45, but there's not a great deal happening in front of him.
No, there's not a great deal happening, but I think what's happening with Benny Coulter at the moment is that he may have jarred his knee during that particular event, and I'd say he'd be requiring treatment. Just hope from a Down point of view it isn't serious.
Yeah, he'd be a huge loss, just as Graham Canty is a huge loss for Cork. They were hoping that they might be able to get some minutes out of Graham Canty. They're going to need him, just as Down certainly need Benny Coulter. Back on his feet anyway. Marty Clark to take the resultant 45. He scored 2 points from frees already. Drills this one, but hits it to the right, and he's put it wide. Well, he's the man who scored a goal and 17 when he was a schoolboy, only in 5th class in his school in a college's match. An amazing tally over 60 minutes. Paddy Kassan pinned back. Alan Quirk now. Disappointing final so far for neutrals, and certainly for the Cork fans who've travelled here in big numbers, but everything going right for Down. Can they keep it going? Kerrigan is fouled by Damien Rafferty. Free into Cork. Cork's last score was in the 12th minute, so we've gone a good 17-18 minutes, and 2 frees. Their only returns so far a rather miserable return from a first half where they haven't really played as they are able to. But credit down, they didn't leave them. Donnacha O'Connor is going to take this. Well, he needs a score just to try and get his confidence going. Cork need a score as well just to give them a boost. And this curls, but yes, it curls just inside. Just about made it. A point for Cork then, cutting into the deficit, and it's 7 points to 3. All of Cork's scores from frees.
Yeah, and beautifully struck. Just came in at the last minute, and that'll do Donnacha O'Connor a lot of good because he's been very quiet up to now and hasn't been able to break loose from the clutches of Dan Gordon, who's playing him very cleverly.
But 5 minutes to go to the break. So far, so good for Down, but again, from their own kick out, it's Cork who are winning those. It's rather a strange situation because Down have been doing well on the Cork kick outs. Miskela laying it in towards O'Connor, released to Pearse O'Neill. Again, look at the number of Down players who close in and back out towards Goulding. Setting his foot through this and putting it over the bar. His third point is 100th in the championship. More importantly today, however, Cork's first point from play comes at the 32nd minute, would you believe? And it's put 3 between them. And even though Cork haven't played at all in this first half, as they're usually able to, they're back in the game with 2 in a row.
Very true, Ger. That's the amazing thing about it. Down completely in the ascendancy, but yet in the scoreboard there's only a miserable 3 points between them. And
Miskela now is beginning to win a lot of ball there around the half-back line. Distribution here just a little poor, however. Over-ambitious hit to Paul Kerrigan. Kerrigan, the only player with a yellow card against his name in the match. Line ball kicked in as far as Marty Clark. Again, O'Leary chases after him. But really he's just chasing and trying to limit his effectiveness, not really winning an awful lot of ball against Marty Clark. Rooney back as far as Rafferty, slipped back into Poland. They hold, nothing silly, and then they wait for a decent run forward, and there are players up there like Danny Hughes who can get on the ball and get out ahead of the defender, look smart, release it back towards Kevin McKernan. Big ambitious one in. Benny's ready to jump for it. He's got it as well, and down he goes, and it's going to be a free in. Magnificent play by Benny Coulter, the 28-year-old from Mayo Bridge. Well, he's tormented so many backlines in the past. Good to see him here in an All-Ireland final, getting his chance. He's one of those players, I feel, had he been around in the 90s, he'd have an All-Ireland medal to his name at this stage.
That was a majestic piece of fielding that time. It reminded me of a photograph I saw in yesterday's paper with was it Shawnee Walsh and Brian Mullins going up for a ball. That was wonderful to witness. Great catch, and the reward now is an opportunity for Marty Clark.
And Marty Clark puts it over. 3 points, all of them coming from frees after the mercurial Benny Coulter won it in the air and was fouled, and it's 8 points to 4. 34 minutes into the All-Ireland final, the 121st. Alan Quirk just looking around, summing up to see where can he kick this one and where can Cork try and retain the possession. Cork's winning kickouts has come in the main from the down kickouts. This time they win their own. Pearse O'Neill, Paddy Kassan, Aidan Walsh. Well, Cork in the second half of their matches have brought on their big subs. They brought on the Nicholas Murphys and the Colm O'Neills and Derek Kavanagh to try and turn the game, and that may well be in the mind of the managers, I would imagine, as we head towards half-time. Meanwhile, Donnacha O'Connor, who scored from a free, has scored now from play. He wheeled around brilliantly that time and makes it 8 points to 5, and Cyril Kavanagh there, the Mexican fan, is delighted with that one. Not so pleased James McCartan, who saw his man there, his fullback Dan Gordon, allow Donnacha O'Connor get too much room. And Donnacha O'Connor is now pumped up and full of confidence.
With that passivity you saw earlier from O'Connor, now has been replaced with a lovely piece of dynamism that time. That was a wonderful score by Donnacha O'Connor.
The game may be turning around. It was all down for a long, long time. And the question I was asking Conor Coonahan last week in the interview was, you know, the mental baggage of having lost 2 finals. Is it there? 1 minute of added time as Cadogan goes back. Came on as a substitute last year in the football final. Miskela swung around, free kick to Cork, Down leading as we're into additional time. Here's Kieran Sheehan setting off, youngest player in today's final, down towards Paul Kerrigan, trying to take on Damien Rafferty, succeeding, coming in from the angle, ball running away from him, and that's gone for a 45. Probably about as much as he could have done, because he had got into such an acute angle there. I don't think it's sufficient latitude to try and pull it back for Donegal O'Connor. That was probably in his mind. Knew he couldn't beat the goalkeeper from such a tight angle, but here he is from the reverse angle here, and the keeper did well, put out his right hand and decided, let's see what happens from the 45.
He certainly did do very well, because that was a wonderful piece of play by I think both players actually, by Paul Kerrigan in trying to get in along the end line, but disciplined tackling by Damien Rafferty. But credit also Brendan McVeigh for his positioning that time, because quite honestly I thought the ball was going wide, but it hit off him and out for a 45.
Well, a down player, as you can see, requiring the attention this time of the physio Noel Rice, and it's Kevin McKernan from Burren being attended to by Rice, and Noel Rice, the physio, his wife Udell, and you, baby Joseph, watching this, I understand. Goalkeeper did really well that time, because that could have been a very dangerous situation had he just decided to palm it down, because Donegal O'Connor would probably have pounced. This might be the last kick of the first half. Daniel Goulding drops it, and it's dropped into the hands of a down defender, Dan Gordon, as the referee calls for the ball, blows for half-time. Well, Cork started well and had opportunities, didn't take them, but Down came back strongly and played all or nearly all of the good football in the first half. The Down fans will be happy. Paul Kerrigan trotting off at half-time here, didn't score. Cork came back with a couple of scores, but it took them a long time to get their first from play. Down will be the happier, but there are only 3 points between the teams as they come in, and the Down management team there with McCartan and his selectors considering what they'll do, because at half-time it's Down 8 points, Cork 5 points. Michael.
And thank you for the moment to Ger Canning and Martin Carney. Back here in our Croke Park studio, we have Joe Brawley, Colin O'Rourke and Pat Spillane. Colin, might get a quick comment from you before the break.
Well, it's been a very enjoyable half of football, and I think Down have played the better football. Cork have had plenty of possession, but they seem to be the same as they have been all year. They don't seem to know where they're going, a bit lacking in method. Down a much slicker team, and a bit strange the marking arrangements that Cork have, but a very good game. But Cork have come back into it and it's still up for grabs.
It started off in a great welter of excitement.
Yeah, well, Cork should have been a goal and a point up in inside the first minute, which would have settled a team that are obviously a bit lacking in confidence, and they retreated into their shell a little bit, and Down just came out and expressed themselves and played some beautiful open football.
Yeah, OK, we're going to take a short break. Further reflection on that first half in just a few minutes. Now, also here on the Sunday Game, there's a chance for you to win a fantastic prize, and we have details coming up a little bit later on.